The West Virginia University football team has landed a brand new offensive lineman. They didn't have to go very far to get him either, just right on the other side of the building on the basketball side. Bob Huggins and Neal Brown seem to work together and collaborated in an endeavor that you're probably not going to believe. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the intro on this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, and welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and you have landed yourself here again at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. And guys, I'm going to tell you, it's a special episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. We're going to be talking about the offensive line, a new member, and to do that with me here today, as always, my really good friend, Couz from Couz's Corner. Couz, how we doing, brother?
What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Well, you can verify this. Yesterday, I told you about this possibility, and then it was confirmed today. A new offensive lineman. You told me this morning that it happened, and I was like, wow. So Jimmy Bell Jr. has moved from the basketball side. We're still not sure whether or not he's going to continue to play basketball. I'm assuming he might. But anyway, moving to the football side of things to play offensive lineman for head coach Neal Brown. When you saw that tweet from Mike Cassaza, am I correct?
That's correct, and I can share that. The Mike Cassaza put out a tweet this morning, and obviously we're recording this video on Thursday, April 13th, but he put out a tweet that says, WVU football has a new offensive lineman at practice. And by the way, Mike Cassaza is with 24/7 Sports. It says it's a center from the basketball team. Sources tell earsports.com that Jimmy Bell is taking his former sport on a test drive for the final 2 weeks of spring practice. So it looks like he's just, trying his hand at center, trying his hand at football to see if he still has it or not, and if it's something he wants to pursue, and if he's, and if there's a spot for him on the roster, basically.
Astounding, man. We had heard over the years, actually, you're the first one I heard say, listen, Jimmy Bell, not only was he a prior football player, but he also was recruited. And looking into that, he was. Obviously, he wasn't recruited at the major Power 5 level, but that's because I think he felt like with his size, and if he would drop some weight, I think he felt like maybe basketball was a better opportunity for him. But I was able to find some tape yesterday. I sent it over to you, his sophomore tape, and he does have ability. Now, I don't know how quickly in a 2-week time frame this is going to all transfer. And to be honest with you, this is not the uber athlete Tony Gonzalez or something like that, somebody playing basketball that moves over to the football side. And this is going to be something, in my opinion, that's going to be really hard to pull off for Jimmy Bell Jr. at the Power 5 level. I'm not saying he can't do it. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree with you. It's definitely going to be tough. My question obviously is the time frame. Does he have time? He hasn't played football in 3 or 4 years at least.
Yeah.
And we all know the guys, if you look at the guys who have translated and done both sports or went from basketball to football, you got Antonio Gates from the Chargers who did it. You've got, and the other guy that sticks out is I think it was Rico Gathers that used to play at Baylor.
Yeah.
That went, he played college basketball and then got drafted as a tight end. But both of those guys were tight ends. We're talking about an offensive tackle here. Okay. Number one, he'd have to put his weight back on, which I don't foresee that being a problem. But I mean, offensive tackle is a very tough position.
Very technical.
It's a lot more technical. Yeah. Is it more technical than tight end? Maybe not. But to me, in my mind, it is. But, maybe it's not. I don't know. Because tight end does have to learn, pass catching plus blocking, both. But still, and with offensive line, you've got chemistry that you have to build with the guys up front.
Right.
And, would he have time to build that? And the other question I have, and I did try to watch that tape you sent me, wasn't able to watch the whole thing. So and like you said, he was only a sophomore, so I'm not sure how much weight it actually holds because that's a long time ago. But will he be able to get his pad level low enough? As 6'10" guy, having low pad level as an offensive lineman is a big deal. And will he be able to do that at 6'10"? I mean, he can do it, obviously, but can he do it in 2 weeks? That's the question.
Well, I don't think so. I'll just say it. I don't want to sugarcoat this. I think if Jimmy Bell had done this, is this his last year of eligibility, Couz?
That's my understanding, yes. He was one of the 3 guys on the basketball team that have 1 year left because of the pandemic year.
So had he done this even last year and given himself a year in the weight room with Mike Joseph and that entire thing, because his footwork is really good. It's very good. It's almost Culver-esque. That's how good it is. But he's so top heavy and he's such a bull on the post and the basketball side of things that he bulldozes guys. And so I think that part would translate well. I mean, Bob Huggins himself has said several times how good of a football player he may be. So I wonder, if this is Bob encouraging Jimmy possibly out the door, trying to do it nicely. Maybe Jesse Edwards or whoever may come next is the replacement. That's another conversation for another day. But the reason I think offensive line is more technical than tight end, in my opinion, is because tight end, you can, if you're a plus athlete, I think you can rely on that until you figure the rest of it out. At offensive line, usually you're at a deficiency. The guy on the other end is usually a better athlete. And so you use your technical, a lot of this technical stuff that you learn puts you back at an advantage unless you're, just a ridiculous Larry Allen or somebody like that, just a freak athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Bell's, I don't think that. Great athlete, but I don't think he's a freak. So it's really interesting. I'm rooting for him. And I would love, it would be one heck of a story if he somehow made it and started at right tackle and did like Alejandro Villanueva did Steelers, who was a similar size and stature as Jimmy Bell.
Yeah, and I tell you one thing it does do too is it makes the spring game potentially a lot more interesting because, it's going to be people are going to want to watch him and see how he does, assuming he plays in it, obviously. Just to be frank, I'm usually not a spring game guy. I have a hard time getting into the spring game.
Oh, really?
But I will watch it, but I don't get excited about it like I do a real game, obviously. But this is something.
I'm pretty close.
This is something that makes me want to watch, even and get more excited about it.
The spectacle of it. Let me ask you this: Jimmy Bell obviously would be far and away the biggest player on the team,
right?
I wonder if your coach has ever tried or thought of this. You get a guy with a long, big wingspan. Do you see where I'm going with this? And you put him on the field goal block team. Could that be an advantage? Is that something you could do?
I would imagine,
6'10", with he's got to have close to a 7-foot wingspan.
Oh yeah.
Tell me that wouldn't be. I mean, you see it. Guys that are 6'2", 6'3", the ball, especially on longer field goals, the ball maybe gets 6 to 8 inches above. Certainly, Jimmy Bell could be a hindrance in the middle.
Yeah.
On a field goal block team, and that in itself, it could be worth a walk-on scholarship possibly.
Right, I agree, and I don't know, and I thought I saw a tweet or a comment under the tweet maybe, or something that said that he would be the tallest lineman in FBS if he plays.
Well, so it's tall.
I thought that was interesting, but I don't remember where I saw that at, because it's not in the main tweet. But yeah, it's definitely something very interesting to watch, and kind of adds an extra storyline to the off season, which is not a bad thing.
No,
but it makes anything that draws attention that's not negative attention to your program is a good thing.
Jimmy Bell's such a good guy, hard worker. He's got an awesome nickname. Mm-hmm. There's so much about him that I like, and I know we here are going to be pulling for him to do this. Certainly want to see something I'm concerned about if he is going to play on the team basketball this year. Is it healthy for him to gain 30 or 40 pounds and then have to lose it again that fast? I wonder about that
Yeah.
and how that could mess with him peaking for basketball.
Yeah.
Because obviously with basketball, you want to try to peak on certain days of the week, and I'm just curious. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, my guess is, and it's just total speculation. I obviously don't know this, but my guess is if he chooses football, he's probably going to be all in on football. But that's just my guess. I don't know that to be sure. If he was going, if he was a tight end, I'd say yeah, he could do both. But as an offensive tackle, I just don't see how, like you said, the weight thing, you have to gain and lose. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, he's proven he can lose weight really quickly, but I mean, he would have to lose it immediately because the seasons overlap,
Yeah.
And I just don't see how you do it.
It would be tough for sure, man. So,
but I'm rooting for him, man.
But we're rooting for him. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It's just your mouse clicker is probably just an inch away. Your finger may be a half inch away. Just move it over real quick. Hit that button. Don't forget to drop a comment. We want to have a dialogue with you about this subject here on Mountaineer Paul Talk Football. Let's talk about Jimmy Bell Jr. and this translation from the hard court to the turf. Also, last but not least, if you want to do the first two things, you can like the video. Would certainly appreciate that. Couz, tell us where everybody can find you at, your socials, all that stuff.
You can find me on YouTube at Couz's Corner. It's COUZ' Corner. You can find me on Twitter at Couz206. I'm on Instagram at Couz's Corner 206, and on TikTok at Couz's Corner. Twitter's where I'm at most of the time, and I'm also on Facebook. I have my own page there, Couz's Corner, as well. And guys, by the way, I don't really advertise this as much as I should, but I do have a website as well, Couz'sCorner.com. Put out an interesting article last night about the Colorado situation. If you guys want to go check that out.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. So if you look down below, I switched it over. This is usually Couz and I share a basketball channel. This is his handle down there at Couz206. That's also mine. It just don't pay attention to the little basketballs. We use this as it does everything for us. So,
but that's a good opportunity to plug the basketball channel too, Paul. Go check us out at Hoops from the Hills. We cover West Virginia basketball.
Yeah,
I mean, this really could be a crossover story on both channels, really.
I agree.
If we choose to make it that, but nonetheless, go check us out there. We have a really our last video is a live stream we did about the Kerr Kriisa commitment. So go check that out if you haven't yet. And also, a lot of other videos over there for you to check out as well. Help us get to 1,000 subs on that channel too.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Couz, anything else to say on the Jimmy Bell situation?
No, I just want to say, everybody, sub Paul up, man. He's getting real close to 1,000 subscribers, and we need to get him over the hump.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'd like to make a few bucks doing this. It's about time. Put the work in. Let's get there.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We appreciate you guys for checking in with us here at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. Couz and I are out.
This is for Cameron. Tim.